Maelstrom. Is it worth a buy, guys? Is it? Let's read the words. Fast-paced naval battles in a grim fantasy world of leviathans, warships and treasure, featuring tactical ship v monster multiplayer, customization and progression. So what is Maelstrom then? Well, it's play v player. There is versus bots, you know, if you want to play single player, but it's not the same. I don't think you get anywhere near the amount of rewards, which I'll come to shortly, so it's pretty pointless. That's only there for a bit of practice, I would guess. So basically it's play v player this. It's also Battle Royale at the moment. It's in early access. There might be more game modes coming, I do not know. But at the moment it's Battle Royale, which basically means last man standing wins. When you die, you're out. That's it. Before I go into all of that, let's have a look at the graphics. I think they look great. I think the graphics look great. There's a few graphic options. It's not that deep, but you can alter a little bit of stuff on the resolution and stuff like that. You can't rebind your keys on this yet. That is coming, but because of the way that the control is, it's not really a problem because there's hardly any controls to the game, so it's pretty much there. I don't really care. The sound is really nice. I love the meatiness of the cannons as the fire. The whole atmosphere of the game, the ambience is really nice. It's a nice game to play. It just has that good feel about it. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit hoarse. I'm still trying to kick this chest infection. And I'm not having a good day with it today. Anyway, let's get on to the main thing, the gameplay. What's it like? Well, you start off by selecting your ship. You're all given a ship at the beginning. You can either choose to be an orc, a dwarf or a human. Now each race has 3 different types of ship, ranging from a light, highly maneuverable, lightly armoured ship to a mid-ranged ship which is better armoured, not as good maneuverability, not as fast, but it can take a bit more damage, through to the heavy, which is not very maneuverable at all, not that fast, but has a shit ton of armour on it. So it depends on your play style as to what you want to do, and I have found so far that there is a bit of an imbalance towards the dwarfs. They just seem to have too much damn armour, and wearing them down is pretty hard. What you do, you see, when you're playing this game, you have armour which has to be worn down before you will take any kind of hull damage. So you've got to get through the armour first, into the hull, then you'll sink. Now there's another way of taking them down, which is probably the way to deal with the dwarfs, and that is by taking out their crew. As you take out a ship's crew, they will then start taking the damage because there's no one there to crew the ship. That brings me nicely onto the types of shot that you've got. You've got anti-sail shot, you've got anti-hull shot or armour shot like your main cannon, and you've also got like a buckshot to shoot directly at the crew. Now when you come alongside another ship, for mouse and keyboard, which is what I'm using, it works great with mouse and keyboard, you would just simply hold your right mouse button down, your grappling hooks go out, that pulls the ship towards you, then start hammering it with your broadside, and also your crew will fight their crew, but if they've got more crew than you or harder crew than you, you're going to lose that one. So you have to be careful that you're doing the right tactics for your ship and your crew. And that's again what I like about this game. It is quite a tactical game. And what makes the tactics even better is you can play this in duo mode, so there's like 2 of you, or you can play solo where everybody's just by themselves. So there's 2 different game modes really. There's every man for himself in solo, or every team for themselves where everybody's in a duo team. See, the tactics in a duo team are different because you can kind of pair 2 ships together that work well together. Maybe a tank and like a glass cannon, which is what I'm using. I'm using the human mid-range ship, and you level all of these up. Now if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see a chest and a progress part of the chest. That is how much money you've got overall. You get money by collecting loot during the maps. There's like treasure chests floating around the place, and if you destroy another ship, all of the loot they were carrying drops, and you just have to sail over it and you can pick it up. You can also pick up power-ups, which I'll come to in a second, but back to the loot. When the game's finished, if you've won, you will get a bonus amount of loot, and that goes up towards the chest at the top. The chest contains a captain. Now it could be an orc captain, it could be a human captain, or it could be a dwarf captain. Now I don't like that because that's RNG. Now I'm using a human ship. Every freaking chest that I've got so far has had either an orc or a dwarf, and I'm still captainless after playing for 5.5 hours, which is bullshit because everybody else I see has captains, and captains give you an ability. So I'm at a loss because of RNG, which I don't think is right. I don't see any reason why that is a good move, because you are punishing players for playing the game essentially. You also get other crewmates as well that you can see on the top right here where you can place on your ship. These all give you different types of buffs, and it looks to me like the color coding is the usual MMO stuff. Purple is epic, blue is rare, and all of that kind of stuff. And these again give you some really nice passive buffs to your ship, like increase the armor value, increase the speed of your cannon fire, and all kinds of stuff like that. And you can just mix and match them, and you keep them forever in your ship, and you can replace them when you get better ones. Coming back to the point I made about you pick up buffs when you sink another ship. There's NPC ships out there as well as player ships. The NPC ships are pretty easy to kill, and they're actually called things like Armor Galleon, which, as you can probably guess, if you sink that ship you will get an armor buff. That's if you pick it up, because the buffs float on the surface of the water alongside the treasure that the ship was carrying, and you might sink the ship that was carrying it, but if another player comes in they can ninja it all and take it for themselves, which again gives some really interesting scenarios when you're playing. So the buffs are, there's an armor buff which gives you more armor, and these all stack, so you can stack your armor up. It does decrease over time. There's a firepower buff. There's a repair buff which will repair the damage that's on your ship. There's a speed buff which gives you obviously a boost to your speed, and then there's the big eye of the storm buff which gives you damage resistance, increased crit, and increased turn rate. So all of them are there to be fought for during the battles. Your ship upgrades as well, like I mentioned before, from tier 1, 2, 3, 4 right up to tier 10 I believe, and as each tier gets unlocked you get different slots opening for your ship, maybe more cannons, more armor, and things like that, which gives you some really good advantages in battles. And you also get your unique ability. Each ship has a unique ability that you unlock, and I think you unlock that at tier 10. So there's a lot to progress to in this game, which is what I like. It's not, you're not just playing for a bloody mini skirt, you know, you're playing for actual game-changing abilities, and I love that. That keeps me playing the game. It's really fun to upgrade your ship and to see it go higher and higher, and play against other people's ships who are higher and higher. It's nice that the ships that you fear, I like the fact that you're thrown in with some pretty nasty ships as well, because you kind of run away from them, or you know, you don't know whether to attack, or you're seizing your moment. I mean, I've been playing this with one of my patrons a lot. We both got a copy of this game off the developers, thanks developers. And a lot of the time in the battles, we'll kind of sit on the sidelines watching maybe two fleets fight each other, and then we'll wait for our moment to move in. And I must say, we have won more than we've lost. We do work quite well together, and we have had some great fun and some great battles, especially when the sea monster comes into play. It is freaking hilarious. You've got this big Maelstrom whirlpool thing as well that will suck you down, which is freaking hilarious as well, watching ships go down there. And you can just imagine some guy at his keyboard screaming, "No, I'm gonna get out," and as it's sucking them down. It's really good. You can ride that round and round if you watch how far in you go, you know, to get a bit of a speed boost. There's also currents in the game, which are like white foam on the surface, and you can just dive into the currents and get a bit of a speed boost from that. But as the game goes and the maps get smaller and smaller and the sea monster comes into play, you can just see people in the middle of a battle that are just unaware that they're actually drifting out of the safe zone, and then all of a sudden the sea monster comes up and just kills the lot of them. So it is really fun, and that's what games are about. They're about being fun to play, and this one is quite cheap for the amount of fun value that you get out of it. The game is going for £15. It's on special, 10% off at the minute for £13.94. There's plenty players in it as well, so, you know, as you would imagine, it's just released. But if you're looking for a cheap battle royale game that certainly doesn't feel cheap when you play it, look no further than Maelstrom. It's a game that I'm going to continue to play even after I've wabbed it, which means that it must be fun to do. And I'll also be streaming this as well on my streaming channel, link in the description of my video for that channel. So there you go, guys. Maelstrom is getting a thumb up. It does have a little imbalance issue, I think, at the minute, but overall it's a great game in early access. I can't wait for what they're going to do to it, but at this moment in time, for what you get for your money, it is definitely worth buying.